There's something deeply human about the experience of being underestimated, of being ignored, of giving your all to someone who never truly appreciates you. In fact, it's that very thing that shapes the story of many people, especially those who find themselves at a crossroads in life, wondering if their worth is ever truly seen or valued. Sometimes the people who are closest to us, the ones we pour our energy into, can't see the greatness that lies within us. They take for granted the gifts we offer, the sacrifices we make, and the love we give without hesitation. But make no mistake, there comes a time, a pivotal moment, when they will regret losing you. When they will wish they had recognized your value before it was too late. Now, let me be clear, this is not a speech about bitterness or revenge. It's not about holding grudges or waiting for someone to finally realize what they had in you. No, this is about understanding your own worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It's about walking away with your head held high, knowing that you gave everything you had, and when the time comes, that they will realize the void you left behind. There's a reason why they won't see your value right away. It's not because you don't deserve to be appreciated. It's because, in their own way, they're blinded by their own needs, insecurities, and expectations. People get comfortable with what they have, sometimes to the point of taking it for granted. They may not understand the depth of your commitment, the extent of your loyalty, or the power of your presence until it's no longer there. The thing is, you don't need to be seen in that moment. You don't need them to validate you. You don't need their approval or their recognition to know who you are and what you bring to the table. The truth is, the people who take you for granted, the ones who don't see you for who you really are, they'll miss you when you're gone. And that's when the regret sets in. When they've had time to reflect, to realize that they lost something real, something valuable, something irreplaceable. You were always a constant. You were always there, offering support, love, and guidance, and you gave without expecting anything in return. But there's a shift that happens when you stop giving so freely. When you stop bending over backward for people who don't appreciate it, that's when they start to notice. That's when they start to see what they've lost. I'm not talking about the type of people who only value you when you're making their lives easier. I'm talking about the ones who get so caught up in their own world, so immersed in their own drama, that they fail to recognize the strength, the resilience, the loyalty, and the generosity of the person who's been standing beside them all along. You see, people are quick to take what's good for granted, quick to mistake your love and dedication for something they can just count on forever without ever having to show real appreciation. But you don't deserve to be taken for granted. You deserve someone who sees you for who you are and recognizes the power you hold. There's an undeniable truth here: when you're gone, there will be a hole in their lives. That hole won't be filled by anyone else, no matter how hard they try to replace you. They will look for someone who can give them the same loyalty, the same care, the same understanding, but they will never find it. That's the reality of human relationships. When someone valuable walks out of your life, they leave a permanent mark. And while they might try to move on, try to fill that emptiness with someone or something else, it won't be the same. No one will be able to match the energy you brought into their life. That's when they will truly regret losing you. But here's the kicker: the regret isn't your problem anymore. The regret is theirs to bear. You don't have to stay in a place where you're not valued, where you're not appreciated, where your presence doesn't matter. It's not your job to convince someone of your worth. It's not your responsibility to teach them how to appreciate you. At some point, you have to realize that your time, your energy, your love, and your efforts are too precious to be squandered on people who don't recognize them. When you walk away, you are doing them a favor. You're giving them the space they need to wake up, to understand, to reflect on what they've lost. And let's talk about this for a second. Why does it take people losing something to realize its value? Why does it take absence for them to fully understand what they had in you? That's a question for them, not for you. You see, when you're constantly giving and giving, you don't always see the full picture. You don't always see how much you mean to someone because they're not telling you. They're not showing you. But when you walk away, It forces them to look in the mirror and ask themselves, what did I lose? What did I take for granted? Who was always there for me? Sometimes it takes the absence of something real to make people realize how much it was worth. And sometimes it takes you walking away to finally make them appreciate what they had. So if you've been giving everything you've got, if you've been investing your time, your energy, your heart into someone who doesn't see you for what you are, know this: you're not walking away because you're defeated. You're walking away because you deserve better. You deserve someone who doesn't need time to realize your worth. You deserve someone who can see you for all that you are from the moment you enter their life, someone who recognizes your strength, your loyalty, your character without needing to be reminded over and over again. When you start to demand the respect you deserve, when you start setting boundaries, when you stop allowing others to walk all over you, that's when they start to notice. That's when they start to realize what they had and why they lost it. And even though they might not say it, even though they might never apologize, they'll know deep down that they lost something special. They'll know that they let something good slip through their fingers. And that knowledge, that realization, it will stay with them. It will haunt them. But you'll be just fine. Because you know your worth. You know what you bring to the table. You know that when you love with everything you have. You know that when you're loyal without hesitation. You know that when you invest in someone, you do so with the expectation of reciprocity, not just because you're a giving person, but because you believe in mutual respect, mutual care, mutual growth. And the beauty of it all, when they regret losing you, it won't matter to you anymore. Because by that point, you'll have moved on. You'll have learned to value yourself. You'll have learned to give that same love and energy to yourself, to invest in your own growth, your own peace, and your own happiness. You won't be waiting around for someone to realize what they had in you. You'll be out there living your best life, knowing that you are enough, that you are worthy, and that you didn't lose anything by walking away from people who couldn't see that. So here's the thing: if they can't see your value now, if they don't appreciate you for who you are, then it's their loss, not yours. And when they realize it, when they finally come to terms with the fact that they let you go, that's when the regret will hit them hardest. That's when they'll realize that they never should have taken you for granted. But by then it won't matter to you, because you will have already found your peace. You will have already moved on to bigger and better things. And while they may sit in that regret, you will rise. You will thrive. You will thrive. You will continue to shine, knowing that you are worth more than they ever gave you credit for. You'll continue to live your life with strength and purpose, and they will watch from the sidelines wishing they had treated you differently. But it will be too late. Knowing your worth is one of the most profound realizations you can have in life. It is the foundation on which everything else is built: the way you live, the relationships you form, and how you carry yourself in this world. The truth is, many people go through life without fully recognizing their own value. And this is one of the biggest obstacles to living a fulfilled life. It's not just about external success or validation from others, it's about an internal knowing, a deep confidence that doesn't come from what others think of you, but from your own acknowledgement of your intrinsic worth. Too often, we measure our worth by external markers: how much we make, the job title we hold, the relationships we have, how we're perceived by others. These are all important, of course, but they are fleeting. Jobs can be lost, relationships can change, titles can be stripped away. If your worth is tied to these external factors, then your sense of self will always be fragile, always dependent on the whims of life. But when you know your worth at the deepest level, nothing outside of you can ever take that away. You are valuable not because of what you do or how others see you, but because of who you are. Understanding your worth begins with accepting yourself fully. It's an act of self-compassion and self-respect. When you truly accept who you are, flaws, strengths, imperfections, and all, you stop seeking external approval to feel good about yourself. You start to understand that you are not defined by your mistakes, nor are you limited by them. They are simply part of your story, just as much as your victories, your achievements, and your growth. The only way to know your worth is to embrace all of you, the whole, complex person you are. Part of knowing your worth is also about setting boundaries. You have to ask yourself, what am I willing to tolerate? What am I willing to accept in my life, in my relationships, and in my work? Setting boundaries is not about being selfish or cold, it's about preserving your sense of self and protecting your energy. Too many people go through life pleasing others, saying yes when they really want to say no, sacrificing their own needs to make others happy. But this comes at a cost to your mental and emotional health. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and when you let others take advantage of you, you are sending the message that you don't believe you deserve respect or consideration. When you know your worth, you are firm in your boundaries, and you protect your energy and your time because you recognize they are precious. Knowing your worth also means recognizing that you deserve love and respect, not just from others, but from yourself first. Self-love is not about being narcissistic. It's about having a healthy sense of self-worth and valuing yourself enough to say no to things and people that don't align with your values. Too many people put others on pedestals, losing themselves in the process. They seek love and validation from others, hoping it will fill the gaps in their own hearts. But the truth is, no one can fill your soul but you. You have to love yourself first before you can truly accept love from anyone else. When you understand your own worth, you recognize that you are already whole, already enough. You stop looking outside of yourself for someone to complete you because you realize you are complete on your own. Another important aspect of knowing your worth is learning to let go of the need for approval. We live in a society that's obsessed with approval, whether it's through likes on social media, accolades in the workplace, or recognition in our personal lives. We are constantly seeking validation, but when your worth is tied to external validation, it becomes a never-ending cycle. The moment someone doesn't approve of you or gives you criticism, your sense of self-worth can feel like it crumbles. When you know your worth, however, you stop looking to others to affirm you. You know that you are enough, regardless of what anyone else says or thinks. This doesn't mean you become immune to criticism or that you ignore feedback from others. But it does mean that you can take feedback without it shaking your sense of self. You can accept constructive criticism while knowing that one person's opinion does not define who you are. There is also the aspect of forgiveness in knowing your worth. This is one of the most challenging yet liberating aspects of self-awareness. Often the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. We hold on to our mistakes, our failures, and the ways we've let ourselves down. We let our past dictate how we view ourselves in the present. And as a result, we can become trapped in a cycle of shame and regret. When you know your worth, you recognize that your mistakes do not diminish your value. Mistakes are part of growth, and every single one of us has them. What matters is how we respond to them, whether we learn, whether we grow, whether we forgive ourselves and move forward. You are worthy of forgiveness, not because you're perfect, but because you are human. Knowing your worth means you understand that your imperfections do not disqualify you from love, success, or happiness. You can release the guilt and shame and step into a space of self-compassion, where you honor yourself for your resilience and your willingness to continue moving forward. Knowing your worth also allows you to stop competing with others. When you don't know your worth, you feel threatened by the success of others, you compare your achievements to theirs, and you measure your value by how you stack up. But when you know your worth, you stop seeing the success of others as a reflection of your inadequacies. You realize that there is enough room for everyone. You don't need to be better than anyone else to be worthy. You are worthy just as you are. This mindset allows you to celebrate the achievements of others without feeling diminished by them. You recognize that someone else's success does not take away from your own potential. Your value is not contingent on competition, but on the recognition that you are unique and have your own path to walk. Part of knowing your worth is also knowing that you are deserving of peace. This is something that people often overlook. In the hustle and bustle of life, in the pursuit of goals, and in the complexities of relationships, we forget that we deserve peace. We allow chaos, stress, and negativity to enter our lives, often because we don't feel worthy of a peaceful existence. But when you know your worth, you understand that peace is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You deserve to live a life where your mind is at ease, your spirit is nurtured, and your heart is unburdened. This doesn't mean that life will always be calm, but it means you no longer tolerate unnecessary chaos or toxic energy in your life. You create the space for peace to exist, and you protect that peace fiercely. Knowing your worth also means accepting that you are not perfect, and that's okay. We live in a world that often places a premium on perfection, on flawless appearances, on the need to have it all together. But no one is perfect, and perfection is an illusion. When you know your worth, you are free from the need to be perfect. You can embrace your imperfections, knowing that they do not diminish your value. In fact, your imperfections are what make you human, what make you relatable, and what allow you to grow. You understand that your worth is not tied to perfection, it is tied to your authenticity, your ability to learn, and your willingness to evolve. When you know your worth, you also become more selective about the people you allow into your life. You stop settling for relationships that drain you, relationships where you feel unappreciated or undervalued. You begin to choose people who lift you up, who respect you, and who treat you with the same love and care that you give to them. You realize that you don't have to tolerate mistreatment or disrespect. You deserve to be surrounded by people who see your value and who encourage you to be your best self. This doesn't mean you expect perfection from others, but it does mean you expect honesty, loyalty, and respect. Another powerful aspect of knowing your worth is the ability to let go of what no longer serves you. Whether it's a job that drains you, a relationship that holds you back, or an old belief system that limits your potential, knowing your worth allows you to make the tough decisions to move on. You no longer stay in situations out of obligation or fear. You know that you deserve better, and you are willing to make the changes necessary to align your life with what truly reflects your value. Ultimately, knowing your worth is about creating a life that reflects your deepest values, your highest potential, and your truest self. It is the understanding that you are worthy of all the good things life has to offer: love, success, joy, peace, and fulfillment. It is the courage to stop settling for less than you deserve and to start demanding the best for yourself. When you know your worth, you become unstoppable. You become someone who walks with purpose, who lives with integrity, and who radiates confidence. You are no longer afraid to take risks, to step into the unknown, or to make bold decisions because you trust that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. Knowing your worth isn't something that happens overnight, it's a journey. It's a process of unlearning the negative beliefs you've been taught about yourself and replacing them with truths that empower you. It's about peeling away the layers of self-doubt and embracing your authentic self, flaws and all. And once you truly know your worth, you will never again settle for anything less than what you deserve. Waiting for validation from others is one of the most paralyzing things you can do in life. It's a trap that many of us fall into without even realizing it, and it can slowly erode your confidence, your sense of self-worth, and your ability to live fully and authentically. The desire for validation is rooted in the need for approval, the constant craving to be seen, heard, and accepted by others. It's natural to want to feel recognized, to have our efforts acknowledged, and to be appreciated. But when we rely too heavily on external validation to define our worth, we give away our power. We allow others to control how we feel about ourselves, and in doing so, we place ourselves in a vulnerable position where our happiness and self-esteem become entirely dependent on the opinions and actions of others. At some point, we all fall into the trap of seeking validation. It may start subtly. A glance for approval, waiting for that like on a social media post, or looking for praise in the workplace or in relationships. We seek external validation to feel seen, to feel good about the things we do, the choices we make, or the person we are. But here's the thing, validation is fleeting. It doesn't last, and it's not real. No matter how many times you hear someone tell you that you're doing a good job, that you're smart, that you're talented, or that you're worthy, these external affirmations don't define your true value. They don't shape who you are at your core. The more you rely on the validation of others, the more you tie your worth to something external, something beyond your control. Waiting for validation is a form of seeking permission from the world around you. It's like asking for someone else's approval to be who you truly are, to step into your greatness, or to live the life you want. This need for permission can hold you back, stop you from pursuing your dreams, and keep you stuck in a cycle of doubt and indecision. You begin to question every decision you make, every step you take, because you're constantly asking, will they approve? Will they like this? Will they accept me? And the longer you wait for that validation, the more you diminish your own sense of self-worth. You become a reflection of what others think of you instead of what you think of yourself. And eventually you may find that you've lost yourself entirely, chasing the approval of others instead of trusting your own instincts and vision. Validation, in its essence, is a way of confirming that we matter, that our efforts are seen, and that our presence in the world is meaningful. But the problem arises when we become dependent on it. If you're constantly waiting for someone to tell you that you're good enough, that you've done well, that you deserve success or love or happiness, you'll spend your entire life feeling inadequate. The truth is, no one can ever fully validate you the way you can validate yourself. External validation is based on the opinions of others, and those opinions are influenced by their own biases, experiences, and perceptions. People see you through their own lens, and their views are limited and subjective. When you allow their limited perceptions to define your worth, you're giving up your power to them. The problem with waiting for validation is that it keeps you in a state of stagnation. It stops you from moving forward with conviction. You begin to second-guess yourself, to question your own decisions, because you're seeking confirmation from the outside world. But the outside world can never give you the clarity or confidence you need to pursue your goals with purpose. Validation may come in the form of a compliment, praise, or approval from others, but those moments of affirmation are short-lived. They come and go, and if you don't learn to stand strong in your own sense of worth, you will forever chase after that fleeting moment of recognition. Instead of waiting for others to tell you that you're on the right track, you need to cultivate the internal confidence that comes from trusting yourself, your abilities, and your decisions. The truth is, you are already enough. You do not need anyone else's approval to prove that. You don't need to wait for permission to live authentically, to take risks, to go after what you want in life. When you start living for your own approval, you free yourself from the shackles of external expectations. You stop asking for validation and start validating yourself. This means trusting your instincts, believing in your own worth, and taking action based on your own inner compass. It means understanding that you don't need someone else to give you permission to be who you are or to do the things that matter to you. When you stop waiting for validation, you become more resilient. You no longer rely on others to give you the confidence to take action. Instead, you learn to find that confidence within yourself. You learn to move forward even when there's no applause, no recognition, no immediate validation. The strength to keep going, even in the face of doubt, comes from within. This is when you start to live your life on your terms, unapologetically. You begin to see challenges not as obstacles to your success, but as opportunities to learn, grow, and refine your vision. When you stop waiting for others to tell you what's possible, you start to realize that the only limits that exist are the ones you place on yourself. This doesn't mean you stop seeking feedback or guidance from others. It doesn't mean you stop caring about how others feel or think. We are social creatures, and we need connection, collaboration, and support. But the difference is that you don't let the opinions of others dictate your sense of self-worth. Feedback becomes something that you use to improve, to grow, and to evolve, not something that determines whether you are enough. You stop giving people the power to decide whether or not you are worthy of love, success, or happiness. You realize that you are the only one who can decide that. Moreover, when you stop waiting for validation, you stop letting fear control your decisions. One of the biggest reasons we seek validation is out of fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being judged. We want to feel accepted, to feel like we belong, and to avoid feeling like we're on the outside looking in. But fear, when allowed to dictate our actions, keeps us stuck in place. It prevents us from stepping into the unknown, from trying new things, from taking risks. We worry about how others will perceive us, whether they'll approve of our choices, and whether we'll be accepted. But when you stop seeking validation, you free yourself from that fear. You realize that you don't need to be accepted by everyone to be successful or to feel good about yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to fit into someone else's mold. You just need to be true to yourself and trust that you have everything you need to succeed. This shift in mindset can be incredibly liberating. Instead of looking outward for affirmation, you begin to look inward for strength. You stop seeking external approval and start relying on your own inner wisdom, knowledge, and intuition. You learn to trust yourself and your ability to navigate life, regardless of what others might say or think. This is when you begin to live authentically without the need for anyone else's validation. You realize that your journey is yours alone, and that only you can determine whether or not you are on the right path. Additionally, when you stop waiting for validation, you open yourself up to a more abundant and fulfilling life. You stop playing small to please others, to fit into societal norms or expectations. You begin to make decisions based on what feels right for you, not what others expect from you. This means you're no longer constrained by other people's opinions, and you start to create a life that aligns with your true desires and aspirations. You pursue the things that bring you joy and fulfillment, regardless of whether or not others approve. You go after your dreams, take risks, and create the life you want without needing someone else's permission to do so. The irony of seeking validation is that when you stop waiting for it, you begin to receive it in ways that are much more meaningful. When you stop looking for approval, you become more authentic, and authenticity is magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who are confident in themselves, who aren't constantly seeking external approval, who know their worth and stand in their truth. You begin to attract the right people into your life, those who appreciate you for who you are, not for what you can do for them or how you make them feel. Your relationships become more genuine, and your career becomes more fulfilling, because you're no longer operating from a place of need. You're not seeking validation, you're simply showing up as your true self, and that in itself is a form of success. Ultimately, the act of stopping waiting for validation is an act of reclaiming your power. It is a reminder that you are in control of your own life, your own path, and your own happiness. You are enough, with or without the approval of others. You are worthy of success, love, and happiness, not because someone else says so, but because you say so. And when you start to live from that place, when you stop seeking validation and start validating yourself, you will experience a freedom that comes with knowing you are enough just as you are. This shift will change the way you see the world, and more importantly, it will change the way you see yourself. Walking away with confidence is one of the most powerful things you can do in life. It is an act of self-respect, self-preservation, and personal empowerment. It takes strength to walk away from situations, people, or environments that no longer serve you, but when you have the courage to do so, you begin to reclaim your peace and take back control of your life. It's not easy to walk away. There is often an emotional pull, a sense of obligation, or even a fear of the unknown that keeps us in situations that aren't good for us. But the truth is, sometimes walking away is the best thing you can do for your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. The process of walking away starts with understanding your own worth. It is difficult to walk away from anything if you don't believe you deserve better. When you know your value, you become less willing to settle for anything less than what you truly deserve. Whether it's a toxic relationship, an unfulfilling job, or a friendship that drains your energy, walking away becomes less about giving up and more about honoring yourself. You recognize that staying in something that is detrimental to your well-being is a form of self-neglect. You start to see your life as too precious to spend it in places or with people who make you feel small, unimportant, or undervalued. It's also important to recognize that walking away doesn't mean you're weak, giving up, or failing. Many people have a tendency to associate walking away with defeat, but this is a misconception. In fact, walking away with confidence is one of the strongest acts of self-awareness you can make. It requires the ability to detach from the idea of failure and to see that sometimes letting go is the greatest form of strength. Walking away is not about walking out on others or leaving things unresolved, but rather about creating space for your own growth, peace, and future opportunities. It's about understanding that certain situations have reached their natural end, and that's okay. It's not about abandoning the ship, it's about recognizing when the ship is sinking and choosing to save yourself. It's critical to realize that walking away with confidence often involves stepping into the unknown. It's the freedom to rediscover who you are outside of that relationship, job, or situation. When you let go of something that has been holding you back, you create space for new opportunities to come into your life. You begin to reconnect with yourself, your desires, your passions, and your purpose. Walking away allows you to refocus on what truly matters to you and to invest your energy in things that will help you grow, both personally and professionally. It's a chance to reevaluate your goals and realign yourself with the person you're becoming, rather than the person you were in the situation you just left behind. One of the most powerful aspects of walking away with confidence is learning to trust yourself. We often stay in situations that are not right for us because we doubt our own judgment. We fear making the wrong decision, choosing the wrong path, or missing out on something better. But walking away with confidence is an act of trust in your instincts, trust in your ability to make the right choices, and trust that you are capable of handling whatever comes next. It's about believing that you have the strength and resilience to create a life that is true to you, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. Trusting yourself is one of the most empowering things you can do because it allows you to move forward without looking back. When you trust yourself, you know that no matter what happens, you will always find your way. Walking away also allows you to stop settling for less than you deserve. Often we stay in situations because we feel we have no other choice or we believe that this is the best we can do. But walking away opens up the possibility for something greater. It shows you that there is always another option, another path, another chapter waiting to be written. Walking away is a statement to the universe that you are not willing to settle. You are not willing to accept anything that doesn't reflect your worth, your values, or your potential. It's a declaration of self-respect, and it tells the world that you are worthy of more. It's also important to understand that walking away with confidence doesn't mean walking away in anger, bitterness, or resentment. You don't have to leave with a dramatic exit or burn bridges. Walking away with grace and dignity means recognizing that, while things may not have worked out as you hoped, you can still move on without carrying negativity with you. It's about leaving with a sense of peace, knowing that you did what was right for you and trusting that whatever comes next will be in alignment with your greater good. In many ways, walking away with confidence is the ultimate act of self-love. It is about showing up for yourself in a way that prioritizes your own well-being, even if it means letting go of something that once seemed important. You are choosing yourself, your happiness, and your future over staying in a situation that no longer aligns with who you are or who you're becoming. It's a powerful reminder that in the end, you are your most important investment, and the best thing you can do for yourself is to honor your needs, your desires, and your worth. Walking away with confidence is not just a choice, it's a declaration that you are worthy of living a life that is full of peace, purpose, and fulfillment. Regret is a powerful emotion. It can be a shadow that lingers long after the decision has been made, a feeling that catches us off guard, pulls us down, and makes us question whether we've done the right thing. It's one of those emotions that, when it surfaces, can feel all-consuming. It makes us reflect on the past, replay our choices, and wonder if there's something we could have done differently. But what we often fail to recognize in the moment of regret is that it's a natural part of being human. And more importantly, it's not something we should let control our lives or define our worth. Regret will come, but it's not your problem. It doesn't have to be something that holds you back, and it certainly doesn't have to define your future. It's important to understand that regret is a universal experience. Everyone has moments when they look back and think, I wish I had done that differently. Whether it's a relationship that didn't work out, a job you didn't take, a risk you didn't take, or something you said or didn't say, regret is something we all face at some point. It's an emotion that, in many ways, serves as a reminder of our human vulnerability, of the choices we make, and of the things we wish we could change. But even though regret can feel so powerful, it's essential to understand that it's a fleeting feeling, a temporary emotion that can be released and moved through if we allow ourselves to acknowledge it without letting it consume us. One of the first steps in managing regret is to understand that it doesn't serve as a reflection of who you are as a person. Regret often arises when we feel that our actions didn't align with our values or when we believe we failed to live up to our potential. It's a reflection of the gap between where we are and where we wish we were. But it's crucial to recognize that regret is not an indicator of failure or a sign that you're not enough. You can feel regret without allowing it to define your identity. The past is the past, and no matter how much we wish we could go back and change things, we can't. What we can do, however, is choose how we let the past shape our future. You have the power to learn from regret, to use it as a tool for growth, and to move forward with new wisdom and insight. When regret arises, it's easy to get caught in the cycle of self-blame. You might think, I should have known better, or if only I had done this differently. The mind begins to spiral, and you may find yourself questioning every decision you've made. But here's the thing, regret is not about living in the past, it's about how you choose to move forward. It's natural to reflect on the past, but it's important to let those reflections fuel growth, not shame. You are not defined by your past choices, mistakes, or what you perceive as failures. They are simply experiences, each one an opportunity to learn and evolve. Regret is often a product of our desire to have control over every outcome. But the truth is that we can never predict how things will unfold. The only thing we can control is how we respond and how we choose to carry forward what we've learned. One of the most powerful ways to deal with regret is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing it as something that needs to be fixed or avoided, look at regret as an opportunity to grow. The key to dealing with regret is not to dwell on what went wrong or what could have been different, but to focus on what you've gained from the experience. What lessons have you learned? What have you discovered about yourself? What would you do differently if given another chance? These are the questions that empower you to use regret as a stepping stone toward a better, more informed future. Regret doesn't have to be a burden, it can be a catalyst for change. Another crucial point to understand is that you are allowed to let go of regret. Holding on to regret doesn't change the past, and it certainly doesn't serve you in the present. The past is gone, and while it's important to acknowledge your emotions, it's just as important to release them. The more you cling to regret, the more power you give it over your life. Letting go doesn't mean that you deny the emotions or experiences tied to it. It means you free yourself from being trapped in that emotional cycle. It's about recognizing that your future is not dictated by past mistakes or missed opportunities, but by the actions you choose to take today. Every moment is a new opportunity to make a different choice, to take a step forward, and to create the life you desire. Holding on to regret robs you of that power. What's often overlooked in moments of regret is that you are never the only one experiencing it. Regret, in one form or another, is something that connects us all. We all have moments when we feel like we've missed the mark, made a wrong decision, or failed in some way. And yet we often feel isolated in that regret, as though we are the only ones who have made a mistake. This can compound the sense of shame and frustration that comes with regret. But the reality is that no one's life is perfect, no one has all the answers, and everyone has faced situations where they wish they could have acted differently. Understanding that you're not alone in this feeling can be liberating. It's a shared human experience, and it's part of the journey of being imperfect, of living fully, and of learning from our mistakes. It's also important to remember that regret doesn't have to be permanent. Feelings of regret are often temporary, and as time passes, we gain more perspective. What may feel like a crushing mistake in the moment may, in hindsight, be seen as a pivotal learning experience. We grow and evolve with time, and so do our interpretations of past events. What once felt like a failure may eventually be understood as a necessary part of the journey, a lesson that shaped who we are today. This is why regret, while real and powerful in the moment, is ultimately not a problem. It's simply a passing emotion. It doesn't have to linger if we don't let it. In many cases, regret comes from a fear of missed opportunities, of not living up to our own expectations, or of taking the wrong path. But what if we embrace the idea that there is no wrong path? Life is full of twists and turns, and sometimes we make decisions that lead us down unexpected roads. Instead of seeing those roads as failures, we can choose to view them as part of the grand adventure of life. The right path is not always clear, and there are many ways to live a fulfilling, meaningful life. Each choice, whether it leads to success or failure, is a part of your personal growth. And even in the moments when you feel regret, you have the ability to take those lessons and use them to create a future that is more in line with your true desires and purpose. There is also an element of forgiveness that plays a significant role in moving past regret. Often we can be our own harshest critics, punishing ourselves for mistakes and failures. But forgiveness is key to releasing regret. Forgiving yourself means acknowledging that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. It means recognizing that mistakes are part of the human experience and that they don't define you. When you forgive yourself, you release the grip that regret has on you, and you make space for healing and growth. You begin to understand that regret is just a passing feeling, not something that has to hold you hostage. One of the most powerful ways to deal with regret is to reframe it as a form of personal empowerment. Rather than viewing regret as something that weakens you or drags you down, you can see it as a tool for self-improvement. Every time you experience regret, you are given an opportunity to reflect on your choices, to learn, and to grow. The key is not to dwell in the past, but to use the knowledge gained from regret to move forward with intention and purpose. Regret will come, but it doesn't have to control you. You are the one who decides what to do with it. You can choose to let it go, to forgive yourself, and to keep moving forward with confidence, knowing that each experience, whether filled with regret or not, shapes who you are becoming. The beauty of life lies in its unpredictability and its capacity for growth, healing, and transformation. Regret, when embraced with awareness, can be a stepping stone on the path to a deeper understanding of yourself and your journey. So when regret comes, acknowledge it, learn from it, and then let it go. Because in the end, regret is not your problem. It's simply a feeling that passes, and you are the one in control of how you move forward.